This is a Domino's Pizza store, a store of pizza specialists.
One look at that Red Baron pizza, and it tells you you're gonna love it. From
Loves pizza. Pizza Hut introduces our new Meat Lovers Pizza.
Polypede Works here, coming at you once again, back like we never left, with One Piece chapter 1109, entitled Obstruction. So, let me say this. Oh, we gotta talk about this baby. Okay, so, at the start of this chapter, we have the start of our new cover story. And in this cover story, we see that Onigashima has sunken to the bottom, touching upon the former flower capital, the Wano that was sunken beneath the sea. So, on one end, I guess the plan did work in an odd way. I don't know who pushed Onigashima into the ocean. That's another thing. But the plan was, back in Wano, was to sit Onigashima on top of the flower capital. And I guess that happened anyway, because it's sitting on top of old Wano. Also, this might be the start to the Yamato cover story. I'm calling it. I'm calling it. Think I'm going to do another video about it, but I said this back in 1103 that Yamato probably was going to get a cover story when she appeared in the New Year's color spread, because that was the first time she was out of her like basic design outfit. I knew something had to be coming. I knew it. So this cover story could be one, the Yamato being Odin cover story, which I think is very, 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 very likely. Or two, it could be Big Mom and Kaido rising from the ashes to defeat Luffy. Or both could happen, because either way, from the events in this chapter, a world-shaking event is about to go down. Because, first of all, we get to confirm that the video that Vegapunk prepared is a video from the past. So I was correct, it seems like that the video is a dead man switch. And Vegapunk seems to be dead in real time. Saturn even talks about this in the chapter. He hypothesizes that, like, oh, I saw Kizaru kill him, so he must be dead. So, for all intents and purposes, Vegapunk is most likely dead. And seeing as how he died smiling, that's a pretty evident sign that he most likely has kicked the bucket. So Shaka is dead, Vegapunk the Stella is dead, and Pythagoras is dead. So that's something, actually. So, apparently, during this whole broadcast, Vegapunk is giving the world 10 minutes to prepare, and we get shots all around the world of people preparing to watch or listen to Vegapunk's special message. They hear it in the north, they hear it in the east, they hear it in the south, they hear it in the west. Also about the east, Fuchsia Village cannot afford a video Denden Mushi or a visual of Denden Mushi because it takes too much money to feed it, apparently, which I guess that makes sense because the visual Denden Mushis are as big as a person, and we see that when they flash to Dressrosa, because the boys in Dressrosa are listening in on the message, and I guess they always have mustaches from the looks of it. I didn't know that. I didn't know they all had mustaches, but yeah, that's funny. We also see Leo again, and we see the little guy who can turn into a rhinoceros beetle. I forgot his name. I think it's Kiban, I want to say. We see Iceberg and his new secretary from the cover story. I think her name is Alice or Alish. So that's cool. Morgan's listening on it, or watching it rather, because he has a TV in his hot air balloon ship because he's a big baller like that. Wapple is there listening as well, along with Vivi. They're listening and watching. I don't know when they flash to the north if this Baltimore, like Vegapunk's home island. I think it's called Baltimore. No, Baltimore, I think. And what's interesting too is that as this is going on, Saturn is in communications with the other elders, and I'm not sure how he's doing it. I think I want to say that they all have like some sort of cyborg implant that allows them to communicate with each other telepathically, but that may not be the case. It may be a special devil fruit thing. It could be, since they're all presumed to be mythical Zoans. that could be a thing. And we're kind of skipping around here because I want to touch on all the interesting parts. So another cool thing that we see from Kizaru that I've been waiting for some years, if I'm being honest, waiting for the flame fruit user to breathe fire as well, and neither of them ever do. So I hope Sabo makes these dreams come true. But anyway, Kizaru makes these dreams come true because he actually has laser vision. He shoots it at Luffy as Luffy is holding him while pinning down Saturn. And then Luffy has had enough of both of them saying, until every one of my friends escape, you'll never get away from me. And then we get Gum Gum Dawn symbol. And I did not know Luffy was Italian. I thought he was Brazilian because he turns them both into pizza pies. Yo, pizza pies, both of them. Like in the cartoons, they're completely flat. Both of them, flat as pancakes. And then he spins them on his finger like pizzas. It's amazing. And here's a little trivia thing for you. It's very funny that he treats them like pizzas because Bonnie's favorite food is pizza. I'll just say that. That's very interesting. Treating the antagonists of Bonnie's life as her favorite food. This is brilliant. This is good stuff. This is good. And then he slings them both like frisbees. Kizaru apparently is washed by this because he is slung into a marine vessel and like blows up the masts, which is crazy, by the way, that he causes an explosion as he lands. But Saturn, on the other hand, is not having it as he comes back like a boomerang with his legs tipped with venom ready. This is crazy. The weird ogre awakening ain't no joke, baby. What in the world? And I'm sorry, I'm not a power scaler. I'm really not. But seeing Kizaru laid out flat on this ship while Saturn comes back from this Toon Force nonsense back on the offensive says something to me. And Luffy just sort of airs his frustrations and says, why doesn't this guy take damage from anything? I think it's because this is the special ability of the ogre or monster awakening, because if you remember back in Impel Down, the demon guards or the jailer beasts were really hard to take down too. Also, the rampaging form of Monster Chomper back in NS Lobby could just eat hit after hit like it didn't bother him. So that's something to take note of too, because I do think Monster Point is related to sort of like the whole false awakening or the ogre awakening that the demon guards experienced. Saturn is in a totally different arena because he's an awakened Zoan using the ogre or monster transformation. Oh, he's even tougher than the demon guards because he has his faculties about him and he's aware of what's going on while he's doing it. He's achieved the highest peak that his fruit allows him to go to. So he has full reign of his body. Luffy most likely can do this too, but I'm just not sure. It just seems to be the case. But we'll talk about that in another video because I got something on that. Anyway, he comes back on the offensive, aiming to stab Luffy. Luffy cartoon flame air trails away, which every time I see that, it's weird because how is he lighting the air on fire as he runs away? Completely insane, right? At the end of the chapter, Saturn says, "Hear my call," and the summoning circles pop up all over in his vicinity, right? And I'm counting them. There seem to be 4. So I guess an ability of his, which would make sense, is that his teleportation is not bound to like a specific area, kind of like with Law. It's an actual warp gate, which is kind of sick when you think about it. So he could be summoning the other elders, which that's the theory going around online. I believe that because that's the Occam's razor answer. Would Oda be willing to drop the powers of all the elders right now. But based on the direness of the situation, seeing as how Vegapunk is supposedly about to reveal a great secret of the world to the world, it makes sense that this is a very high stakes priority, and it's going to take the powers of all the elders to stop the message from going through. So I can see the logic in all of them showing up in this area right now. However, I will say this is most likely an ability specific only to Saturn. I don't think the other elders have this ability. Now, in terms of the whole telepathic communication thing, if that is a Devil Fruit thing, which I don't think so, I think it's a cyborg thing, seeing as how he is the Minister of Science and we're being introduced to this ability through him. It would only make sense that he has some sort of cybernetics installed in himself as well as inside of the other elders. Also, the message is being hijacked through the thought waves of the Marines, Dendemushis, which could then turn into, I guess, visual waves too, if a visual Dendemushi is around in the vicinity of the transmission to receive it. That's what I'm getting from all this. So in any way, shape, or form, if you're near a Dendemushi, you're going to hear or see this message. What I'm wondering too, seeing as how Pythagoras, Shaka, and Vegapunk show up on screen, which is kind of narratively poetic because those are the three Vegapunks that are currently seen as being deceased, as far as we know. Are the other Vegapunks going to show up? And if Vegapunk York shows up and say Van Augur is in the vicinity to hear this message or see this message and he sees her on screen, or if Blackbeard is currently watching and he sees her on screen and immediately contacts Van Augur, would he be on the island to go find her, or would she escape and run into Van Augur? Because I don't think Van Augur and Devon are off the island yet, because they're listening to Karibo or whatever. So I still think, and we got a big video about that coming, that York is going to get picked up by the Blackbeard Pirates. I still think that. But unfortunately, we're going to have to wait a week in order to find that out, because there is a break next week. But man, the resilience of the monster transformation is in a whole nother league. So I'm wondering, man, I gotta tell you, unless like Smoker, which I doubt it's gonna be Smoker, it's either going to be Blackbeard or Kuzan, we gotta see an awakening from Alogia, because so far, just keeping in mind that Saturn is most likely a mythical Zoan as well as Luffy, just based on the visual details, the whole Haragamo and such, and being like obviously a yokai, a man who became a yokai, they kind of have the run of things. Because now it's being suggested, even through Luffy, that they kind of err on having both Logia and Zoan regeneration, because they have the Zoan aspect of the demon guards and not being knocked out very easily, or even if they are knocked out, they just get right back up. And I guess this is again accelerated 100-fold when you are a properly awakened mythical Zoan. On top of that, Saturn could fully heal a limb like it was nothing. We don't know if that's specific to him, because I mean, he's a spider, so that could be like a mythical parallel to the whole bit of spiders molting or something. I'm not sure. We don't know much about that. I don't necessarily think that's a science thing, which I know that's a weird thing to say. I think that's more sort of a Devil Fruit thing, but we have to wait and see on that. So with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Give me your thoughts. Amazing chapter, really good chapter. And wow, on 1110, we're going to have a real-time bout, aren't we? Whew, what a chapter.